Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice.
And 100% Math. Invest in your child's academic success. Visit 100%math.com or call 547-9817.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Business Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. This is where we address the business topics that matter. Radio Cayman's Business Buzz. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. I am back. I was gone for a few weeks on a bit of a European vacation. I want to say I'm jet lagged, but I woke up this morning fresh and ready to go, so I feel really good about that. I want to say a really big thank you to Mr. Oric Connor, who filled in for me while I was away. And I want to say he's probably happy to get back to his regular scheduled programming. He doesn't have to wake up so early, but you know, OC does wake up at like 4 or 3 a.m. to go cycling all the time. So the Business Buzz wouldn't have been that hard for him to wake up for, right? I also want to give a shout out to an avid Radio Cayman listener. She picked me up from the airport and she asked me, she's a taxi driver, and she asked me, "What's your name?" Because we were chatting away, and I was about to say my name, and she just said it, Kathy Miller. And I was like, yes. And she goes, "I listen to you on Radio Cayman." So that's Maleficent. I hope I got the name right. So thank you for being an avid a Radio Cayman listener, and for the good feedback that you gave me. I'm happy to be back in studio this morning, and we have the pleasure of welcoming Jessica Moore and Kenneth Guillen. I hope I got the last name right, Kenneth. Yes. These are owners of Fresca Cafe, a newly opened restaurant in the heart of Savannah that's focused on healthy eats inspired by Cayman kitchens. So good morning, Jessica and Kenneth. How are you doing today?
Good morning. It's good to be here. Thank you for having us.
No problem. When did you guys open?
We are fresh, so we only have about 2 months open. We opened, I think, on the 20th of March of this year, so we're still brand new.
Okay. And I said you're located in the heart of Savannah, but give us an idea exactly where you're at.
So we're in Country Corner in Savannah. So we're in the plaza across from Countryside Shopping Village, the same one that has Simboko and Chicken in it. We are in the brand new pink building to the left.
Okay, nice. Mm-hmm. So you're in a pretty busy area, as is with Savannah, so people can find you if people are. It's a highly kind of trafficked area in that sense.
Yeah, for sure. We've been getting pretty busy during the weekends. We're filling in the weeks as it comes, as we get a little bit more popular and people get to know about us a little more. We're seeing a bigger influx of traffic during the week, but it's starting to get there for sure.
Okay, excellent. Now I said that you're both owners of Fresca Cafe. And it's a restaurant that focuses on healthy eats inspired by Cayman kitchens. In my experience, it can be really hard to find healthy eats in Cayman. You know, we're very focused on kind of like the bread kind and just some really rich sauces and all the rest. And I love it. I wouldn't deny that at all. But your restaurant is a little bit different. It does have local flair as well, but it does offer a different kind of menu. What inspired the opening of Fresca Cafe? What was your vision?
I think we kind of just wanted to fill a niche because we were both kind of health centered. We do like to kind of keep healthy and have better options, and we live in the area. So we were just kind of brainstorming and figured there was nothing in the area of what we kind of wanted to do in terms of what we would look for to eat during the day. And it bloomed from giving ideas in terms of blending Caymanian ideas with like fresh salads and sandwiches, and even incorporating sushi eventually. So we're kind of playing with all the healthy alternatives we can bring to the area.
All right. Did you guys have previous experience in the restaurant industry or training as chefs or cooks or?
I did private chef work for about 7 years before we opened our cafe. Wow. And I did a little bit of training when I was doing my day job of property management beforehand. So that kind of gave me the confidence to leave and do the private chef stuff for a few years. And after that, you get to know people, you know what people like and the niches that are missing, and you kind of just want to fill that void.
Okay, awesome. Now, you are, Jessica, you're the front of house manager and one of the owners. So what does your daily role at Fresca Cafe consist of?
It can be different every single day. Right now, we're kind of managing all the different parts of it. So you're looking at a little bit of accounting, a little bit of social media marketing. You're looking at managing your staff, managing the front of house, making sure everything runs smoothly, orders are coming out and they're correct, and everybody's happy. So just the general experience of when people come in, we want to make sure they're happy.
All right. And Kenneth, you're back of house manager.
Yeah.
What does that role consist of?
Well, I try to make sure that the staff is always feeling right, and making sure that deliveries are coming as well too. Making sure that if we're having any special needs or any special deliveries to be done as well too, as they get busy sometimes during the week, and make sure they are being on time, and make sure that everybody's having the perfect service while they're getting their food.
Okay. How important was your staff selection? How did you go about recruiting staff for Fresca Cafe?
I think we wanted to make sure that people, when they came in, they felt welcome, they felt warmness, they felt people very friendly, and that's the kind of the comments that we've been getting from people that have visited so far. You know, we make sure that our staff is very attentive. You know, they're constantly checking on people, asking if there's anything that we can do better, or if there's anything that they could change, or any comments that they have. But we are training our guys to make sure that customer service is always the top priority, because without our customers, we don't have a business.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think for me, service is really important. So it could be a restaurant that has an amazing menu and that the food tastes great, but if the service isn't friendly or up to par, then I likely won't be returning to that spot, right? And as well as somewhere might not have the most selections, but man, if that service is great and I feel very welcome and it just feels like kind of home, that I'm going to keep coming back. So, and that's just, it's a give take kind of relationship in that sense.
Yeah,
so
especially
really
our barista, Alan. He's very friendly, so he's started to even learn a lot of our customers' names. Even though we've only been open for about 2 months, we're starting to get regular visitors. So when they come in, they greet them by their name, and they're always so happy to feel like, you know, they're walking into some place that cares about them.
Well, let's get into your menu. So I did go to your website, frescaky.com, right? I was super delighted to see that you do serve an all-day breakfast. I mentioned this right before the show. I'm a big breakfast person, and I think sometimes when you're headed east, if you're going to go to Rum Point or North Side and you want to stop and get some food, it is limited in options, especially when it comes to healthier eating, in my opinion. So I like the idea of what you guys have now. Give us a rundown when it comes to the healthy eating, and then when it comes to your breakfast options, your lunch, salad, dinner. Let us know what you have.
Yep. Right now we have a small breakfast menu, but we will be expanding hopefully in a couple of weeks to include brunch on Sundays, where you'll get, you know, your big fat pancakes, your French toast, and a bunch of other little specialties that we put a Caymanian twist on. Right now we have some really amazing like salads and sandwiches that are also locally inspired. One of them that's a really popular right now is the localish. So we use like local beef and we braise it down with a salad. We serve it with a mango vinaigrette on fresh local greens that we get from one of the local businesses here. And we work closely with a lot of the local farmers to source our little stuff like cherry tomatoes, our cucumbers. So we're making our stuff as local as possible and as organic as possible.
And that was going to be one of my questions. Do you work with local farmers or food producers?
That's my job, so definitely we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to Mr. Patrick from local farms too.
You can absolutely give him all the praise that you want, because we're trying to recognize people more so on the show and what they offer. How did you start those partnerships with the local food producers and farmers?
I think we did a lot of site visits. We visited a lot of farms. We talked to a lot of people, and we just kind of researched to see what was available. And, you know, when they would send us their lists of what was available weekly, we just started to build relationships that way, testing batches, seeing what could work for us and what couldn't, to see what consistency we could get from them. And once we were able to kind of solidify what we were able to get locally, we just kind of had to outsource what we couldn't get from other sources.
I like that. I like that relationship building within the community a lot. What's the feedback from the farmers? Are they very appreciative of this? Do they feel like there's not enough of that partnership happening?
For sure. Sometimes they are apologetic because they don't have enough to keep us consistent. So whenever they do run out, or when we buy them out, when they're completely finished, when we have to outsource from other people, they're always saying, yeah, we're going to work on it. We're trying to get our volume up, but we do need, you know, a lot more places to help support us and give us that workload that we can keep going and support them. So, yeah.
Right. They can only kind of produce what the demand is in that sense. sense, and there's only so much kind of room for them
Yeah.
to be able to
Yeah.
produce, right? But you did say local beef as well,
Mm-hmm.
so I like that a lot, especially when it comes to kind of Cayman style beef, in my opinion.
And that's it. I think that's probably what makes the little cafe unique, especially during the day, because we try to include Caymanian specials. So for every day of the week, from about Tuesday until Sunday, we have a different Caymanian special. So we'll either have stew conch or Cayman style beef, Cayman style lobster, and on Fridays we even serve a national dish. So we do the Caymanian traditional turtle served with white rice and maybe a breadfruit salad. So we have something available for everybody. Even if you're not health centered, we have good home cooked food and a couple other options.
Nice. Are your local dishes that you serve on a the daily special basis, are they set days? Like is Tuesday like Cayman style beef kind of
Yeah.
thing? Okay.
Yeah, we have one per day. So I don't remember exactly, but I believe today we have stew conch. So yeah.
I might be driving a little further for lunch today.
There we go.
We'll see about that.
That's great.
What about your healthy eats? Because it was, as you mentioned at the start, getting this restaurant together, you were focused on doing healthier options. So if people are interested in that, I know I very much am. So if people are interested to know what you do offer on the healthier side of things when it comes to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, can you tell us about that?
That again, just a great range of our fresh juices as well. We do a twist on a Caymanian classic. We have the Swanky 2.0. So we have that as a lemon, tamarind, and mint juice that we make fresh daily. We also have a couple different ones called the Cayman Sunset that we use with mango puree, and we juice fresh beets, cucumbers, carrots, and those are all made fresh daily that people can access and come in for. Even if they don't want a full meal, they can come in and grab a fresh juice that's also filling, or one of our fresh smoothies that we make with fresh fruits, and we can even add protein powder. So we have something for everybody. If it's not a full meal in terms of our salads, which are really amazing, the Mexicana is one of my favorites so far. We also have a couple different sandwiches, especially inspired as well. So we have a braised beef sandwich that's pressed on a panini. That's also really good, filled with cheese and local beef. So there, once you take a look at the menu and you take the time to kind of read through it, you'll see we have a few different options for everybody.
Yeah, I think one of the things I notice, especially when you're coming from Savannah, from that area, and it's busy in the morning, maybe you didn't have time to make breakfast, but you want to stop somewhere. Are you, what are your hours of operation? Are you open early enough that people can come to grab some breakfast?
Yeah, currently we're still playing with our hours for right now, but currently we're open during the week from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m.
Okay.
And on the weekends, we're open for a little bit later from 9 a.m. until 4.
Okay.
But we do hope to extend the hours to include dinner. Hopefully, we'll probably move that to around 7 once we include sushi and brunch. And then maybe later on, once we include dinner, we'll be open until about 9.
Okay, but your dinner menu's ready. I'm pretty sure I saw it online.
We have a full lunch menu. So we
Okay.
have a quick lunch, which includes some really awesome options. The shrimp scampi is my favorite. That one's inspired by my mom. She loves that one. But the lunch options are really great too. We have a really awesome roasted chicken that comes with mashed potatoes, asparagus, and spinach. So we're doing our best to make sure that we have some healthy options. Full meals, small drinks, whatever you can think of.
So aside from the healthy option, which I love, I love the fresh juices a lot. And to everybody listening out there, it's a really good way just to get in a couple of fruits and vegetables, bang, at the start of your day or at any point in your day, just to have a fresh juice, right? And I like the fact that you can add some protein powder if people need to up their protein intake. And I think we all do. I think we all undereat when it comes to protein.
Yeah.
But one of the breakfast items that stood out to me was the plantain eggs Benedict.
I think that's probably one of our best
Kenneth?
sellers.
It is, yes. My mouth was watering when I was looking at that. I was like, okay, that I definitely have to try when I come out.
Yeah,
so.
we've had a few people come by and pay us a visit. It's like I said, we try to make a local twist on almost everything that we have on the menu. So we took a classic eggs benny, we added in some ripe plantain that we mashed down with coconut milk, and added hollandaise with a little Scotch bonnet on top. So it's pretty good.
You're making me hungry all over again. What about intolerances? If people have allergies, or I think I have a gluten intolerance, for example. So when it comes to that, how do you consider intolerances or allergies in your menu?
We have a couple different options available. But there are a few of our sandwiches and our noodle dishes. They have gluten-free options, and quite a few, like our golden carbonara, which is like a play on a classic. We use with coconut milk instead of dairy. So we do have a couple different options and alternatives. Even if you just speak with us and say, "Hey, I have this allergy," we'll find a work around it, or we'll find an alternative that suits you.
Okay, sounds good. I did see the sourdough bread option, so
Yes.
I'm sold on that already
Yeah.
as well. There's a lot of things I'm sold on your menu. We're going to go to a commercial break, and when we return, we're going to continue our discussion with Fresca Cafe.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Gwendolyn Lily Bush, 1920 to 1999. Miss Gwen was referred to by Colin Panton as the heart of Pan-Carib Agencies, which was dedicated to helping Caymanian seamen get berths with various shipping lines and helping them through the necessary paperwork and processing, from reminding the family what a seaman would need to pack and writing the letters he needed to carry with him, to informing a bereaved family that their father, husband, and son had been lost at sea. Miss Gwen provided tireless service and emotional and moral comfort to Caymanian seamen and their families for almost 3 decades. They were her boys, and over the years, they built her 2 homes. Nearly 400 seamen attended her funeral, and her headstone, provided by the Cayman Islands Seaman, reads, "She was a seafarer at heart."
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Cayman Insurance Center is pleased to invite the community to their 50th anniversary celebrations, Thursday, May 31st from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m., taking place at the Cayman Business Park, 10 Huldah Avenue, Thomas Russell Way. Meet their team and enjoy light refreshments and learn about their other product lines. Cayman Insurance 50th Anniversary Celebrations, happening Thursday, May 31st from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. at Cayman Business Park, 10 Huldah Avenue, Thomas Russell Way. Investing in our children's academic success and future career is a no-brainer. Isn't it time we stop with the excuses? With 100% math, you can take charge now. There's no reason for your children to fall behind in math again. Since 2011, 100% Math has prepared students for exams in IB, HL, SL Math, and CSEC and enrichment programs for gifted students. Visit 100%math.com or call or WhatsApp 547-9817. That's 547-9817. No more excuses. Set your child up for success today with 100% Math.
This summer, discover adventure, magic, culture, nature, and so much more with Cayman Airways. Airfares are now on sale for travel this summer. Visit New York, Denver, Los Angeles, Miami, Tampa, Kingston, Montego Bay, Panama, Havana, and La Ceiba. But hurry, sale ends June 1st. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or book online at CaymanAirways.com. Make this your best summer yet with Cayman Airways.
The Council of Older Persons is proud to present the first Aging in the Cayman Islands Forum. This forum will be held on Saturday, 15th of June at Sir Vassal Johnson Hall at UCCI, and is free to the public and open to all ages. Registration will open at 8:30. Presenters and topics aim to truly reflect the needs of Caymanians and residents so we can all age with dignity. For more information, visit www.gov.ky/Older Persons Council.
The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning and welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and I'm in studio this morning speaking with the owners of Fresca Cafe in Savannah. I'm here with Jessica and with Kenneth. Kenneth has been a little bit quiet here. You've been letting Jessica take the mic, but that's okay. You did say some stuff during our commercial break that I'm going to ask you to circle back to, though. I know that. We were just talking about your menu options right before the break, and I want to know if you have any, I guess, signature dishes or anything that would be right now. I know you've only been open 2 months. That are your considered so far kind of your most popular dishes?
I would say probably the most uniquely Caymanian one is the plant and eggs benny. We get a lot of people that come in and they see it on the menu and they said, "Oh, what's a plant and eggs benny? I've had a regular one, but what makes this one different?" So again, we have our local greens that we put a bed on a bed of sourdough, and we have local plantains that we have just barely ripe, and we cook them down, mash them with some coconut milk, season them, and then we go and we start stacking. So we have our crispy bacon on top, 2 poached eggs with a really nice thick hollandaise, and we get some Scotch bonnet flavor on top with some pickled onions, and you're good to go. It's one of the most requested ones right now.
It's going to be a request coming in from me, that's for sure, because I said before that was one of the items that really stood out to me when it came to the breakfast menu. And you can kind of indulge with the plant and eggs Benedict, and then you can get a fresh juice as well.
Exactly.
Right? So you're doing a bit of a balance there.
Yeah, because we have anything available from our fresh green juices. Like I mentioned, we have the Cayman Sunset, which is like a mango and beet. We also have, I think it's the Red Envy, which is like a beet and coconut water. So we're trying to touch a few different health benefits with each drink that we have. And in addition to that, we have, like our locally inspired drinks. So we have like a soursop, a lime and nutmeg. That's our soursop drink. Wow. We have a twist on a classic Caymanian drink, which was our swanky, our version of lemonade. So we currently do a twist on that one where we do a lemonade, but we include mint and tamarind as well. So we have a few interesting options, and we'll be adding more soon.
You absolutely do. It sounds super tasty. So I can't wait to try some of these options. When it comes to your clientele, who are you really looking to attract or to serve in that Savannah area? Because you do, from what I see in the menu, you have the healthy eats, and then you have your Cayman and somewhat Caribbean-inspired menu. So it's to me, it's a bit of a diverse menu, which is great. So it doesn't just segment.
Yeah.
So who are you looking to attract and bring in there?
To be honest, we are looking to welcome everybody, because in the short 2 months that we've been open, we've kind of been seeing from every demographic. We have our locals coming in, they come and they try their local food, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's really good." And they come back and they try the breakfast or the sandwiches, and it's like, okay, you're building a consistent customer. And the same time, we also have tourists that come in, because we do a lot of marketing or promotions to tourists to get them to try like the local foods, to have that true authentic experience. So a few of them do come in, they try some of the local dishes. A lot of them are pleasantly surprised, but a lot of them still come for like their comfort foods, so they get their regular all-day breakfast and the assortments of sandwiches and different stuff that they can get. So we're really open to everybody, and we're hoping that everybody will come and give us a try and form their own opinion.
Yeah, Kenneth, in the break, you had made a really great comment about the customers that do come in. Can you share that?
Definitely, for sure. The crowd, when it comes in, right, we get a lot of support from local crowd, right, that really, I think most of me, right, I think that's my push and my everyday push, to see that come in when you have some local people that they come in where there's a lot of hard work put into it. So you get me, there are some days that you feel like, okay, we're young. We're trying to do better, and then I think it reflects much in our local customers when they come and they give that great feedback, that they feel such as home, right? They feel like a place like that was needed in that place. So I think it gives that a little bit of ease up and how you feel, right? You get me? And letting you know that at the end of the day, it's a struggle, but it's that what makes you happy and keeps you going, right?
Right. Those efforts are very worth it.
Definitely.
I think a lot of people are seeing that when they come in.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people would think, okay, if you're going to open a restaurant, do it in Georgetown or 7 Mile Beach area, but you guys chose Savannah.
Yes.
So what made you think, okay, Savannah, we've got to do it here?
Yeah, I think it's pretty condensed right now in a lot of the other places in town or in 7 Mile. You're going to be running into a lot of different competition, especially looking for space and everything else. So we kind of wanted to move away from the busyness and make our product so good that we could get people to travel from all over our little island to come and give us a try. And we wanted to be a little bit less out of the busy space so that people could come and still enjoy the quieter side of the island, but still get great food.
Right. And when you're going to go to the other end of the island, like East End or North Side, it's a great pit stop in that sense to fill up on some great food.
Absolutely.
At Fresca Cafe. How did the name come about, Fresca? What inspired that?
It went through a couple different changes before it ended up on the last one. We had some creative names in the beginning that didn't essentially flesh out, but this was the best one that we found that kind of involved the idea of what we wanted to bring, which was the freshness, and also involved kind of a little bit of our heritage as well, because we're both Honduran and Caymanian. So we wanted to bring that aspect of the freshness in terms of the name, so the Latin inspiration from our backgrounds, plus bringing the ideas of the cafe that we wanted.
Right. That's awesome. I like that. That's a good kind of marriage of that word with the restaurant there and the heritage. So I like that right there. It's nice. Do you have any signature events going on? Because I know your website is great. It's there. So I saw that there's some sushi event. I can't pronounce it. I don't know if it's happening as yet.
It's omakase.
How do you say it?
Omakase.
Omakase, okay.
It's an omakase experience. So it's, like I mentioned, we're going to be, during the nighttime, we're going to turn into like a modern Caymanian dinner spot in addition to Japanese dishes. So we'll be launching our sushi menus and a dinner menu with the Cayman and Japanese influence during the night. So the omakase experience will essentially be kind of like a small plate play on that. We haven't confirmed the details as yet, but we're working on maybe between 10 and 15 different courses that you get to try over the course of the night.
Ooh.
It'll be an all-inclusive experience. You get to meet the chefs and talk about the dishes and all the different ways that we put the ideas and try to blend a little bit of the Caymanian with the Japanese to give people a unique experience.
So that would be a set kind of menu in that sense. And it's like an intimate dinner party.
Essentially, yeah. So you'd be able to reserve it. We're probably going to end up closing it. It'll be an exclusive event for the night, probably only once a month. So we'll do it by reservation and see how we go.
Okay, I like this idea. I think that's really cute, and especially for that area too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's a different
experience.
Dinner event.
I do think
experience to bring up.
the area in Savannah, in terms of experiences and just food in general, is lacking. So if we can bring something new and fresh to that area, that people will, say, "Oh well, I never thought to try that. I went to give it a try and I enjoyed it." That's all we want.
I love it. So you've been open 2 months now, just over 2 months, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
What have been your biggest challenges in opening a business? I know that's a pretty broad question, but it's hard, and a restaurant business is not easy to do.
It's a little bit of everything. We've both been running smaller businesses on our own before. We have car wash businesses, and I was doing private chefing. But taking on a business where you also have staff to take care of, not just only yourself, we're learning all of the different ins and outs. You have your pension, your health insurance, you have if you're not getting local, which we do try to hire, you have your work permits and everything that comes into building a new business, which is also including planning, all your permissions, and learning the process from the ground up. It was a very rapid learning curve.
Oh, yeah.
Did things go as planned in the timeline that you set out? Or
Never.
No.
Never.
Wow. It's a very resounding no.
No, never.
So how do you, anticipate and prepare for those kind of pitfalls that are happening along the way?
I think that as much as we do try to be prepared, our biggest asset is being able to stay with an open mind and being able to pivot. So even if what we're envisioning isn't exactly working at that moment, we try to take it from another angle, get a little bit creative, and see if there are alternatives that we can figure out for the situation.
I like that you said being able to pivot. Mm-hmm. It's very important. So that's a resiliency and adapting to whatever's going on around you. It's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, we have this thing where it's you're not changing the goal, but you might just change the way that you get there.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. That's nice. There's more than one way to skin a cat. As somebody had told me, please don't skin any cats. But it's an example there. We have to wrap up. I want to ask you a little bit more about the challenges of the business and whatnot, but it's 8 a.m., so we got to go to the 8 a.m. news. I just want to give people an idea of what your hours are, your location, again, and your website, frescaky.com. Mm-hmm. And if you do any delivery or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess our full rundown, you can always get all of this information on our website, which is frescaky.com. You can see our full menu, our opening hours, and when we're ready to have all of the events, we'll upload all of our information there. We also do delivery, which you can, again, go onto our website. You can create an account and you can order online as well. So we hope to just see more influx of people just asking questions and being more curious about who we are and where we are, and they come and give us a try.
Awesome. And I hope you get that support, and I hope people listening to the show right now this morning are going to come and try out in the next week or two.
For sure.
We'd
We're
love
open
to
today.
hear that.
Open today all week from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and again on the weekends from 9 to 4.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks for joining us this morning on the Business Buzz, and we've got to go to the 8 a.m. news.
Thank you, Kathy. And the studio time now by Foster's is 8:01.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
We are Radio Cayman, covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. The trial of two people charged with drug and money laundering offenses is set to start today. Radio Cayman's Jeffy Ebanks brings us his report.
Renee Hamilton, 32, from East End, and Dorman Salmon, 38, of Jamaica, faces trial for importing 5.2 grams of fentanyl and engaging in money laundering. Arrested in February 2023 for attempting to distribute 200 tablets of fentanyl via the Postal Service, their case opens today at 2 p.m. Javi Ebanks, Radio Cayman News.
Cayman residents may soon see rolling brownouts. Caribbean Utilities Company says its reserve margin, the difference between total installed electricity generation capacity and peak customer electricity demand, is presently at lower than normal levels, which, quote, increases the risk of having to shed customer load in the event of an unplanned loss of generation. CUC is blaming the situation on rapidly increasing electricity demand, quote, driven by economic growth and record high temperatures, along with delays in adding new generation capacity to the grid. Now, back in 2021, CUC says it asked the regulator OFREG to initiate the procurement of 23 megawatts of solar and storage capacity to meet increasing consumer demand, which is currently in its final planning stages. As a temporary measure, CUC leased 10 megawatts of mobile generation last year, and an additional 10 watts are expected to be installed later this year pending regulatory approval. The customer-owned solar programs have added more than 60 megawatts to the grid since 2021, but peak loads are happening in the evening, and those can't be served by solar power without the use of battery storage. CUC's 20-megawatt battery energy storage system is expected to be commissioned in June, and that should help with meeting the evening peak demand. In the meantime, if customer demand is higher than the available generating capacity, CUC will need to conduct, quote, rotating customer outages. This is known as load shedding. If this happens, CUC says it will publish a schedule of areas affected. Customers within those areas can expect to see power outages between 30 minutes, maybe up to an hour within a 24-hour period. Outages will be more common during peak hours, so that's like 4:30 to 8 p.m., but in the summer as early as 3 p.m. due to higher temperatures. The power company says that reserve margins will be restored to normal levels between June and July when that battery storage system comes online. Customers can keep up to date on power restoration by referring to CUC's outage viewer on CUC's website or on their social media channels. And in other news, changes in the air for workforce opportunities and residency Cayman. Here's Radio Cayman's April Cummings.
Effective 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, the 29th of May, the current Jobs Cayman portal will no longer be available. This includes payments, job seeker registration, employer registration, posting job ads, and applying for jobs. As the existing portal goes offline, a site offering reduced online services will be available on the 3rd of June. This site is temporary and will allow the final development and testing of the new work, jobs, and online portal payment services, which is expected to launch on the 18th of June. On the temporary site, you will be able to post job ads, and job seekers will still be able to search and apply for jobs on work.ky. Payments, however, must be made in person. There is also another change. Effective Monday, the 3rd of June, the customer care services will be relocating to Artemis House. Customers will be able to access the same services that were offered at Apollo House West, such as payments, submission of applications, and passport endorsement stamps. Customers can park at the Apollo House West parking lot and then follow the signs to Artemis House. All other work services remain at Apollo House West, which include the Employment Services and Training and Development Unit for Caymanians seeking employment or training. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
The office number remains the same. That's 945-9672. You can also email them at worc@gov.ky. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller.
BBC News with Eileen McHugh. Reports from Rafah in southern Gaza say Israeli forces have reached the city centre as they intensify their military campaign. Hundreds of Palestinian families have fled some of the heaviest Israeli bombardments so far. Gaza officials say overnight strikes killed at least 16 people. Norway and Spain have formally recognised Palestine as a state. Ireland will follow suit. The Norwegian foreign minister said the move sent a strong signal of support to moderate forces in both Israel and Palestine. The world's top exporter of goods, China, has urged an end to Yemeni rebel attacks on Red Sea shipping. The call came from Beijing's foreign minister, who hosted his counterpart from the internationally recognised Yemeni government. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
This summer, discover adventure, magic, culture, nature, and so much more with Cayman Airways. Airfares are now on sale for travel this summer. Visit New York, Denver, Los Angeles, Miami, Tampa, Kingston, Montego Bay, Panama, Havana, and La Ceiba. But hurry, sale ends June 1st. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or book online at CaymanAirways.com. Make this your best summer yet with Cayman Airways.
The 8 a.m. weather update. Brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the very latest weather report. Current temperature is 87 degrees. Relative humidity is 83%. The barometric pressure is 29.99 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east at 8 knots. Overnight low temperature was 82 degrees. Synopsis indicate a slack pressure gradient across the northwest Caribbean will continue to support light winds and smooth seas across the Cayman area for the next few days. A slight increase in cloudiness and showers is expected late tonight as a tropical wave weakens east of the Cayman area. Radar images show a few isolated showers mainly south of the Cayman area. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will be in the low 90s with a heat index near 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots and seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 30% chance of late night showers and temperatures dipping to the upper 70s tonight. Winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots and seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet as well. Today's low tide will occur this morning at 8:22, high tide this afternoon at 6 minutes past 1, and a low tide again tonight at 7:26. Sunset 6:57, sunrise 5:48, and the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Thursday morning.
I was undercover and had just recovered the stolen artwork, but...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with managing my insurance?
Well, long story long. I found the art thief in France, but ended up becoming somewhat of a local celebrity. So I had to stick around for a while. But I was able to handle all my insurance needs with CG's online portal.
The online portal. Safe, convenient, simple. CG Britcay. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Shamrock Road and Rex Creighton Boulevard flowing moderately. Further down, different story as traffic is steady on Shamrock Road and Linford Pearson Highway. Steady traffic heading to Georgetown on Crew Road. Heading east on Crew Road, traffic is moving along swiftly. As we look to downtown Georgetown on Edward Street, flowing pretty good. Into Georgetown on Shed Road looking good as well, and out of Georgetown on Shed Road, moderate flow of traffic. On the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions and traffic flowing at a good pace coming from the West Bay four-way stop. No issues on Owen Roberts Drive as traffic is light to moderate and steady traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way and continuing on to Huldah Avenue. Slow moving traffic on Walkers Road heading to Georgetown. If you see any accidents, please give us a call here at Radio Cayman 949-6990. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue flowing at a good pace. And join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller. Business Buzz.
Good morning and welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. I have my new guests in studio right now, and they're from the Economics and Statistics Office, and they just looked so surprised when I started speaking. Good morning, welcome back. In this segment, I would like to welcome Mr. Ron Farier and Mr. Selburn Christian. Both are senior statisticians from the Economics and Statistics Office. Now, I'm going to trip up over that word a whole lot.
Many people do.
Don't ask me to say statistician again, either.
Right.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing
Good
this
morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
So a little bit of background information. Selburn and I, we work together on doing some PSAs for the ESO, and I think I do secretly drive him crazy when it comes to some of the requests and what I say. No, Selburn, we're going to do it like this. This is how it's going to go. So it's nice to put a face to the name and the conversations that we have via email.
Yeah, likewise.
But we are here to talk about the business survey that is currently ongoing with the ESO, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I guess right before we go into that, we know that the ESO exists. I think it's a great department to have. I mean, it's very necessary to have. There's two parts of the ESO, correct?
Yes.
Can you speak to what either of those two parts of the ESO, so we know that the roles and functions in there?
Yeah. So it's the Economics and Statistics Office. So there's the economics side and there's the statistics side. The economic side deals with the annual quarterly economic report. They deal with forecasting of some of the main variables: unemployment, current account balance, GDP, inflation, and so forth. On the statistics side now, we are the compilers. We collect data and we compile various macroeconomic estimates between the statistics unit. So there are three really units within the statistics arm, which is the social statistics that deals more with the household surveys. And then you have Ron's unit, external sector statistics. Right. And then you have the SNA that deals with the GDP compilation. And Ron can speak a little about the ESSU.
Yeah, so the External Sector Statistics Unit, I think primarily we have two main outputs, one of which we're going to speak about today, which is the Balance of Payment Survey, one of the two annual surveys. And the other one, I think more people as a household you might be familiar with, is compiling trade data. So there's the Customs Department that currently compiles trade data. We take that trade data and as statisticians, we apply a methodology to it to produce different variables for economic analysis. So from my perspective, I oversee all data related to external trade. You as a household, Selburn as a household, I as a household, and various businesses, what they trade with the rest of the world. I am primarily responsible for looking at that in aggregate form, compiling it, presenting it in a format that is ready to be analyzed by the economists within the division and maybe other researchers, whatever have you, worldwide, and international agencies as well request this data, yeah. That was a mouthful.
It was a lot, but it's good to know, the various units within the ESO and what you're responsible for there. Mm-hmm. So I had come to you, Selburn, I think back in April and said, I'd love to get you guys on the Business Buzz to talk about a couple different things. So here we are with the business survey.
Yeah, here we go.
That's what we're talking about really is the business survey report. So really, what are the ESO business surveys? What are their purpose? Why do we have these?
Okay, so the annual business survey really covers the annual national account survey and the balance of payment survey.
What does that mean, balance of payments?
It's actually, okay, so I guess I could go first then. Okay, good. It's a bit of a misnomer, right? So it really is meant to cover all trade between what's considered residents of the Cayman Islands, you, me, Selburn, all the businesses, anybody who's been living in the Cayman Islands or intends to live in the Cayman Islands for 1 year or more. Whatever we pay for services overseas and goods, assets we own, liabilities we incur, I'm responsible for tracking that. The survey tracks that. But it really tracks it for businesses because for households, you could appreciate it's a little harder to gather that data.
What we pay overseas?
Overseas, to non-residents, to anyone outside of the Cayman Islands.
Okay.
Yeah, and we track that through a survey. Okay. So I could get into more later about how that is accomplished, but that's primarily the goal of the survey. We have indicators that we use to present to the businesses and say, hey, can you report on this data item, this data item? At the end of the day, I'm able to aggregate it and determine have we achieved a surplus or a deficit when Cayman Island residents trade with other people, with the rest of the world.
With the rest of the world.
Yes, the US, the UK, Germany, whatever have you, in aggregate form. Yeah.
And why is that?
I'll save the results for later.
We'll get into it a little later. But why is that important for us to know, like, what we do overseas as opposed to within our local economy?
So without getting like super technical,
you lose me. So please don't get too super technical.
You want to sort of determine if you are able to finance what you have been importing. So we are an importing jurisdiction because we don't have a big manufacturing sector.
Right.
So we import a lot of our goods. We have to earn foreign exchange to pay for these goods, right? In doing so, we now have to sell our goods, which admittedly is not a lot, and our services to non-residents to earn that foreign exchange to then pay for the stuff that we are importing from overseas. So it's important to track that to see the extent to which we are able to cover what we are purchasing from overseas, and if we are not, it means we have to borrow money. And that's where the crux is in borrowing the money. How much are we borrowing? Are we in debt? Is it sustainable? Right? Are we competitive as a jurisdiction? Are people demanding the goods and services from the Cayman Islands? And goods and services, for example, services such as tourism, financial services, etc. To what extent are they demanding these services, whereby we are able to gain enough foreign exchange to pay for the goods and services that we want to purchase from overseas? If you're able to cover it, fine, we're good to go. But most countries, they're not. And you incur a deficit and you generate your foreign exchange either through having foreign investors invest in your country and inject money. Now you have some foreign exchange to pay for the goods and services you want, or you sell services, tourism, financial, you gain foreign exchange that way, and you pay for the goods and services you want from overseas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a major point because you did mention manufacturing, like we don't really do much. Right. And according to a stat that I grabbed from the ESO, I hope I don't make you guys nervous right now. It says it's from 2022, but industry share to the Cayman Islands GDP, that manufacturing is just at 0.9%. Yeah. It's like second lowest, I think.
Because it's a very small industry. We're not a large manufacturing. We're a service-driven industry.
Right.
Services account for like 88% of the total goods and services produced in the economy, as measured by GDP. So, like, our manufacturing would basically be like concrete manufacturing, cabinet manufacturing, things like that.
Okay.
Support services. So it's relatively small.
Okay.
And that's what we measure on with the national accounts survey. We're looking to measure the total, basically the value of all goods and services produced in the economy as reflected in the GDP. GDP is the actual macroeconomic aggregate that we compile using the information from the National Account Survey.
Okay. Now, how often do we do these business surveys? I know it says annual business surveys, but I don't remember it always being an annual business survey, is it?
Oh, it actually is annual, so good memory. And this version of the survey was first conducted in 2008. We've conducted it every year since 2009. And I'm saying we, but I only joined the department a year and a half ago. So, so Selburn basically and my predecessor would have accomplished that. The surveys run concurrently, mostly because administratively it's easier for us, and also the balance of payments is a subset of the National Account Survey. So in helping the respondents to understand what we're asking for, it's easy to sort of relate the two and help them to realize they are related. And when you report on one, it may or may not, we're hoping may, be easier to report on the other one if you have all the information. So so businesses selected to participate, they're normally notified in early April, and there's about a 2-month time frame for which we give them to furnish the data. Yeah, so annually,
Okay, now I mentioned this right before the show had started, but and in my flurry of trying to prepare for today's show and do my own sort of background, so I'm not totally in the dark about this. economics isn't necessarily my strength.
Okay.
But it's not a lot of other people's, and this is why we're here trying to understand, the whole process and the importance of these business surveys. So I go online to eso.ky, which I think is a great website. We can get a lot of information there, and people need to pay, I think, a lot more attention to when it comes to what's going on in the country and a better understanding.
Recently revamped, by the way.
Yes.
The website, yes.
But in my search, I'm using a search query business surveys because I was trying to find, I guess, kind of any results of this so I could come better prepared for this interview today. But nothing kind of obviously jumped out at me aside from the quarterly and annual economic reports and something called the balance of payments and international investment.
That's me.
John, that's what you had mentioned,
Yes,
that's the one I didn't read.
Okay.
Right? And look at me. So if people are really looking to find, I guess, more about the business survey and the insights derived, would that be found in the balance of payments and international investment report?
The results from the balance of payments survey would be reflected in the balance of payments and international investment position report, and then the results of the National Account Survey will be reflected in the annual GDP report. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no correlation in the names per se between the survey and the report, and maybe that's actually something we could look to. That's not something we think of. So thanks for that question, because it's not something I would immediately think of, that people can't make the connection between the survey and the report. So that's an area for improvement for us, definitely, in realizing if the public wants to make a better connection. That's one of the areas maybe we could review and look
there
at.
You go. Yeah. See, it's important. It's a good thing Right. Yes, exactly. So what kind of businesses are included in the annual business survey? Are there any industries or contributors to the economy excluded?
No. The survey applies to all entities providing goods and services in the economy. So it covers businesses would be the significant portion of entities covered, but it includes non-profit institutions.
It does, okay.
Yeah, your churches, your service group. It includes government entities, government companies, statutory authorities. Once you're providing a good or service, you're covered under the survey, because that's actually what we're trying to measure. There's a value to whatever you produce, and that value is what we're trying to measure.
Okay. Do you seek out businesses to survey? Like, how does the sample pool come about in how you do this? Because I would assume it's not every single business you can ask, right?
Yeah. I'll speak to this. So we have what we call a statistical business register. That's statisticians speak for that the collection of data that we use as a sampling frame. So we maintain that statistical business register, and it's a list of all active businesses. We classify them by activity. We assign internally generated ID codes and so forth. So that serves as our sample frame, and we survey from that pool of businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can a business say, no, I don't want to participate in this survey at all? There's too many coming right now. I don't want to do this.
Oh, man. Selburn.
It's a real question.
It's a real question.
And
you get it every year.
Question, and we understand. The surveys are mandatory.
Okay.
Let's put it at that. Yeah,
there's a legal obligation.
There's a legal
the Statistics Act,
obligation on the sections 11 and 14 of the Statistics Act. Section 19 of the Act prescribes a penalty for non-compliance. However, our approach is always that of a moral suasion, selling the survey to respondents, highlighting the importance of providing the data, helping businesses provide us with the data, reducing the respondent burden. So it's always more of coercion, moral suasion than actual punishment.
And the heavy stick.
Yeah, so it's more the carrot than the stick. So we try to sell businesses on why you need to provide this data, the value of this information, not only to your business, but the jurisdiction as a whole.
Yes.
Because when the jurisdiction don't have these macroeconomic variables available. We, in terms of our international appeal, it reduces that, our international appeal, and we don't look like a serious jurisdiction, because some of these are basic information sets that all countries need to provide.
Yes.
We're a top 10, maybe top 5 financial service center. So not having balance of payment data annually, not having GDP data is going to look bad internationally. So
For
it's very
foreign
important.
investors especially.
Yeah, and for international rating agencies when they're rating the jurisdiction or international competitiveness and so forth, it's better that we have these data. So it's extremely important. The surveys are the primary data source for these calculations. So in terms of business just fulfilling their social responsibility, it's important that they provide us this information.
Okay, all right. We're going to go to our very first commercial break. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds there to relax in our break. And then we're going to return. We're going to continue talking about the annual business surveys with Selburn Christian and Ron Farier from the Economics and Statistics Office.
Elevate your child's math skills with 100% math with premier math tutoring services under the expert guidance of our renowned mathematicians, Professor Emeritus Romain Angeloff and Dr. Mackenzie. Programs are designed to secure IB, HL, and SL math, CSEC A-levels, and IGC SE success. Whether your child aims to get ahead or catch up, 100% Math is your partner in achieving their academic goals. Don't let your child's math skills lag. Visit us at 100%math.com or call or WhatsApp 547-9817.
Cayman Insurance Center is pleased to invite the community to their 50th anniversary celebrations, Thursday, May 31st from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. at Cayman Business Park, 10 Huldah Avenue, Thomas Russell Way. Meet their team and enjoy light refreshments and learn about their other product lines. It's happening on Thursday, May 31st from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. at Cayman Business Park, 10 Huldah Avenue, Thomas Russell Way. It's the Cayman Insurance Center 50th anniversary celebrations.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
This summer, discover adventure, magic, culture, nature, and so much more with Cayman Airways. Airfares are now on sale for travel this summer. Visit New York, Denver, Los Angeles, Miami, Tampa, Kingston, Montego Bay, Panama, Havana, and La Ceiba. But hurry, sale ends June 1st. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or book online at CaymanAirways.com. Make this your best summer yet with Cayman Airways.
The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm Kathy Miller, your host, and I have in studio with me this morning from the ESO, the Economics and Statistics Office, I have senior statisticians Ron Farier and Selburn Christian. We were just talking about the purpose of the annual business surveys, how often they happen, which is annual since at least 2008, I believe that was the year given.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, and how you can find this information on the ESO.ky website. So we spoke to that a little bit, and the fact that it is a legal requirement for businesses to participate if they are sought out to participate in this year's or any year's business survey. It is a legal requirement under the Statistics Act. We're going to talk a little bit about the data collection now and usage.
Right.
So what kind of data are you looking to gather from a business? How in depth and detailed does it get?
I'll speak first from the balance of payments perspective. Actually, no. I think maybe Selburn could speak first because mine is a subset and it might be easier to piggyback from what he may have to say on this.
Yeah, okay. So on the national account side, basically what we're asking for is financial data. Yeah. So the National Accounts Survey has 5 sections. The first section, and it's set up in terms of the formatting to mimic a profit and loss statement. So you have Section 1 deals with income, Section 2 deals with expenses, Section 3 deal with inventories, Section 4 is the balance sheet section that deals with fixed and intangible assets, and then Section 5 just asking for employee count. So we just set up similar to that of a financial statement, so it helps business to follow better in terms of providing the information. So it's basically financial data that we're asking for in the National Account Survey.
And then from the balance of payment side, within that financial data, I would like, or the ESO would like, your data with respect to trade with non-residents. So from your income, and take, for example, Radio Cayman, and they have income from communication services, for example, right? So you offer communication services, or you gain revenue from offering those services locally, and maybe some international entities may want to advertise or whatever on Radio Cayman. That portion is what we want for the balance of payments. The total portion, total income, is what is required for the national accounts. So we want the total, and we want that little subset that relates to non-residents for the balance of payment survey. So again, mimics profit and loss, income, expenses. For the assets and liabilities, instead of the total assets and liabilities, we only want the financial portion, and we only want the portion related to non-residents. So we try to spell that out on the front of the survey in terms of definitions and requirements. And sometimes it takes a direct conversation with the respondents to actually hone in on what we are looking for, because they want to provide the data. Most of the businesses, they want to provide the data, and it's just for us to sort of refine and hone in. This is exactly what we're looking for, and maybe not this, that's for this other survey, not for our survey, etc. So
how can we ensure that the data that you do receive is accurate and that people aren't, fibbing?
That's where we as statisticians and our keen eye, because we've been doing. Selburn, how long have you been in this?
I don't want to say.
Okay, well, I could say.
But it's been a minute.
Well, for me, it's 2 decades of doing this type of work at various levels. I was first with a central bank, and then prior to this, I was in another quote-unquote offshore jurisdiction, Bermuda. I worked there for like 15 years.
Okay.
So, but over time and me and Selburn have met in various ways in workshops as colleagues before. Now we're working together. And you compare notes and you compare methods and so forth. But there's always sort of key elements to checking for accuracy. Well, first and foremost, on a basic level, does the data reported add up to what you've been provided? That's a basic accuracy check. 1 + 1 needs to equal 2, etc. All these subcategories need to report to the total. Then we want to check for completeness. If you, for example, you meaning Radio Cayman, has reported that you have earned, I'm going to use my survey, dividends on some asset that you own. If you report dividends, then I need to also see that you've reported an asset that has been earning those dividends, right? If you say that you have employees, say for the National Account Survey, then where are the personnel costs and wages associated with those employees? So that's a little bit of a completeness check. Then we go over above that and we look at consistency. If last year you've been reporting certain types of expenses at a certain level and certain income levels, if we see that jumping or falling by a huge amount, we need to investigate. We need to have reasons, because at the end of the day, even though we are compilers, we still need to be able to explain the anomalies in the data. And then reasonableness. I spoke up before about Radio Cayman receiving income for communication services. I shouldn't see Radio Cayman receiving income for restaurant services, accommodation. And you see these things. You actually see these things on some of the surveys. And for us, it makes us realize, have we classified this business correctly? Are we missing something? We need to inquire further. Are they understanding the survey at all? So the survey, the data needs to be reasonable as well. So accuracy, completeness, consistency, and it needs to be reasonable. From our 20 plus years experience as compilers, we know what to look for. We know how the data, quote unquote, should be. And so we need it to be reasonable in what we have seen over the 20 years, well, for me and Selburn combined 40 years experience in checking these type of data. Those are some of the checks. I don't know if Selburn could think of anything else, but those are the ones that really
those are the typical checks. And as statisticians, we also look at time series. So we look at what you provided to us last year relative to this year, any anomalies. We liaise with the business, find out what is happening. A lot of times it's just a wrong classification and so forth and so on. But we need to understand because we are interpreting the data. So we need the explanation. So we have to reach out to the business. But generally, that's how we go about.
I feel like there's so much fine detail in the work that you have to do when you receive the data and combing through it.
Someone is doing this
and
for 4,000 plus businesses.
Yeah.
so
that's really,
mind you, now every business
so that's
has
around
an
your sample size is around.
Yeah, we survey approximately 4,000 businesses now for the National Account Survey and for the balance of payment.
It's much easier. I think currently we're just about 500 businesses because you could appreciate not everybody is trading with non-residents, and even if they're trading goods, we could get the data from customs. So if we could get it from somewhere else and it's more complete, we spare the businesses. We don't have to ask them for that particular type of data. So it's really just for, as Selburn mentioned, services. And if you have any type of foreign investments, that would indicate to me that you should have foreign assets or you have foreign liabilities. We definitely want to track that. The likes of Cabinet, Monetary Authority, international agencies, they're very interested in the extent to which, for example, Cayman Islands is indebted to the rest of the world and vice versa, right? So, yeah.
So in saying you guys, this is a really tough job, in my opinion, and having to collect this data and
could be a lot,
going through it with that fine tooth comb.
Yeah, but we also it's not just us as individuals. We have teams, we have a team,
right?
So in terms of the National Accounts Unit, I have 2 other statisticians and a statistical officer. So the unit is 4 persons strong.
Over 4,000 businesses to go through.
Yeah, that's what we survey. Unfortunately, not all of them respond, so it would be less than that 4,000. But it's still a lot of legwork.
Okay.
To get from the survey to the actual GDP report.
Now, this isn't an insult at all, so don't take it as one. But sometimes it seems it can take up to 6 months or longer to get results of or any insights derived from these kind of reports and surveys. So that could be understandable now, knowing the kind of level of detail that you have to go through and the balance in checking and verifying that data as well.
And mail out the check. All the different checks that I mentioned, applying the methodology, compiling the data, ensuring that it's consistent, analyzing the data, preparing the report. It's stages. It's stages upon stages.
And the team is small.
And the team is small.
And that highlights the importance of us getting the survey information by the deadline.
Thank you.
That's part of the problem that we face. Is that the current deadline is June the 14th. But then we'll have to be chasing down some businesses, and depending on the activity of the business, we might have to chase down a particular business, and getting the data late impacts the entire process, and especially on the national account side, where the survey is a primary source of the data. We don't have as much administrative data on the national account side as some other jurisdictions. So we depend even more on the survey data. So that makes it extremely important. Suffice it to say, statutorily, the report is due the end of the year. So the 23 GDP report is due by the end of 2024, statutorily. But there on the economic side, they are forecast on what they think the GDP will do in 23 before the actual results come out. So there's some indication based on forecasting that the office provides. And then 6 months after that forecast, the actual numbers come out. So there's still numbers to work with in the interim while we compile the actual figures.
Okay. Now you did say that not all businesses do answer.
Yes.
So maybe those are the ones getting penalized. I'm not sure. but you did say as well that you really have to help people provide the information necessary. So it's like you're holding a lot of people's hands in helping get this information out, which is quite time consuming, I would assume, on
yeah,
your
but
end.
it's necessary.
It's necessary, yeah.
Yeah. When we started out, Ron mentioned that the survey started in 2008 and been done annually since except for 2009. So this is probably maybe the 16th survey we're doing. When we started out in 2008, we started out in an environment where the Cayman Islands as a jurisdiction wasn't used to being surveyed, asking for financial data that way. Mm-hmm. So we got a lot of pushback at that time in terms of all of a sudden, why are we asking businesses for that information? So there was a lot of hand-holding at that time. There was a lot of interaction with the private sector. I think our first survey, the response rate was it was less than 20%, to be honest. But the response rate has grown over time. And we are not comfortable where we are now, but we are trending in the right direction. So that's good.
Is confidentiality an issue? Like, do you find that businesses are a little suspect of releasing this information because the confidentiality aspect of it? How do you deal with that? How do you handle that?
Yeah, confidentiality is always an issue, and we totally understand that. As you can well imagine, we are collecting business information. We are also collecting information from household, private individual information. So confidentiality is paramount to whatever we do. It's a central tenet of ESO's operation. Right. The Statistics Act itself protects the confidentiality of the data that's provided to us. Suffice it to say, the penalty for breach of confidentiality with the data is the same as the penalty for non-compliance to the survey. That's how important confidentiality is. Also, the Statistics Act under Section 17 prevents us from publishing any information that would lead to identifying an individual business or an individual person. So in that way, it also guarantees the confidentiality in terms of the publication of the data. Operationally, in terms of our internal operation, there are things that we do to protect the confidentiality of the data. Access to the data is only available to the individuals working on the data.
Like, I don't see his data.
So I wouldn't be able to see
right.
if I need something from the BOP survey, I have to go to Ron and ask him. Likewise, if Ron needs something from the National Conservatory, he has to ask me. The director don't have access to the data because the director is not working on the data.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's that.
So that's how we firewall the data in terms of protecting the confidentiality. Even the electronic access, where our worksheets are on the system, Ron does not have access to it, and vice versa. So that's the way we protect the confidentiality. Also, we try to anonymize the survey. So on the survey, the name of the entity is not on the survey in terms of the survey form. So I mentioned earlier about internally generated ID number for the business. Mm-hmm. That is what is on the survey.
Okay.
So even if somebody get their hand on the data, they don't necessarily know what entity the data belongs to because it's just a number, not the name of an entity.
Gotcha. Okay. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the key insights that have been shared in previous reports that came from the annual business surveys.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
This summer, discover adventure, magic, culture, nature, and so much more with Cayman Airways. Airfares are now on sale for travel this summer. Visit New York, Denver, Los Angeles, Miami, Tampa, Kingston, Montego Bay, Panama, Havana, and La Ceiba. But hurry, sale ends June 1st. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or book online at CaymanAirways.com. Make this your best summer yet with Cayman Airways.
Attention Northside and Eastern residents. The Department of Environmental Health, Northside and Eastern bulk waste collection will take place between May 27th to June 1st. This bulk waste collection will replace the traditional year-end collection. Household appliances, furniture, and other items too large to be handled by the weekly DEH collection crews should be placed by the roadside where it is easily accessible to the DEH collection crews. Metals and vegetation should also be separated from other bulk items. Do not obstruct the roadway or storm drains or place tires, construction and demolition waste, hazardous materials, or electronics. For more information on the Northside and Eastern bulk waste collection from May 27th to June 1st, please contact the DEH's Solid Waste Management section at 949-6696.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman. The Business Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller. Business Buzz.
Good morning and welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and in studio from the ESO, I have with me senior statisticians. I'm still tripping over that word. I have Ron Farier and I have Selburn Christian. We're now going to be talking about some of the key insights that have been derived from past annual business surveys. Sometimes, we have these surveys and exactly, we kind of went over the importance of having them. And from my understanding, having these surveys as well, it helps to understand our business landscape, what's going on in Cayman, what's going on with our economy, and the insights derived, that information can be used to help shape decisions made by policymakers. Would you correct? Oh, you would agree to that? Yes.
Yeah.
You need data to make informed decisions. So very
evidence-based decision.
There you go.
Right. Okay. So can you tell us, I guess, what some of the key findings are from the most recent surveys, the past couple surveys?
Okay.
Throwing that to you, Ron.
I can start first with the easy one, the balance of payment survey. So remember I mentioned there are 5 sections to this survey. How that presents itself in a report is in 2 major sections. One is called the current account, and just basically to explain that, it would track whether or not Cayman Island residents have a surplus or a deficit when they trade in goods. That's one portion, and when they trade in services with non-residents. There's also another small portion called income, and that is a little more technical, but basically all the assets that Cayman Island residents own overseas, we track the income coming in from those assets, so any interest, any dividends, any profits, etc., and vice versa. If non-residents own assets in the Cayman Islands, they have a claim to these assets, and Cayman Island residents now need to pay them the income earned on these, for us, liabilities, but for the non-residents' assets. So the current account tracks the receipts and the payments related to that, and one of the results from that is that we are in a deficit where that is concerned. And if I break that down a little bit, on trading goods, as you would suspect, we pay more to non-residents than we earn when we supply goods to them. In services, we have quite a huge surplus. It's over, I think, $1 billion. Let me get this right. Yes, it's about $1 billion, almost $2 billion surplus on trading services. Tourism, as you know, we're a major tourism destination. Financial services, we gain a lot of money from that as well. Even the legal firms, the accounting firms, when they're registering some of these businesses, they get their retainer fees, they get whatever it is from that, and that's incorporated in the BOP. On the flip side is the same primary income account that I mentioned. There are a lot of foreign investors, foreign investment in Cayman Islands. All those earnings, the dividends, the profits, they are flowing out of the Cayman Islands, right, to the extent of almost the same $2 billion, in this case, deficit. So here we have on the services account, we've gained all this foreign exchange from tourism, from financial services, and to the same extent that money is flowing back out in terms of paying profits, etc. So the result is a deficit on the current account. On the second part of the report, which is the international investment positions, I'm even tripping up on my own report words, Cayman Islands owns more in foreign assets than it has in foreign liabilities that it owes to non-residents. So, I mean, that is a plus for the Cayman Islands. But in terms, and to that extent, the deficit that we are generating, we are able to finance through some of the earnings from those foreign assets. But over the years, the deficit has been decreasing, but deficit is not a bad thing. Let me put that out there for the listeners. The deficit becomes a bad thing when you start to incur debt and it's not sustainable, right? That's when that's when you need to, for policymakers, the antennas need to go up and be like, okay, how can we address something like this? But people are demanding services from the Cayman Islands. It means that's a good thing for the Cayman. People are demanding Cayman Islands dollars to purchase Cayman Islands services. That would always be a good thing. And it's a good thing because we're then able to finance all the stuff we need to pay for that we can't produce locally and we need to for the economy. So yeah, that's a short synopsis on the balance of payments and a mini lesson.
That was a great synopsis, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, yeah.
Did you want to add anything to that, Selburn?
No, not on the balance.
Okay.
That was
All right.
comprehensive. Yeah.
So I guess when comparing to the last few years, which industries are providing us the most value and which have you seen a decline in, if you can speak to that?
As I mentioned earlier, in terms of contribution to the overall economy, services is where our bread and butter lies.
Yeah.
Services account for almost 90% of the economy, and then goods producing industry, the rest. So our top two largest sectors would be financial and insurance. Mm-hmm. And professional services. Professional services will be primarily legal and accounting services. So those have been the two largest sector, and has been consistently that way for a while. Suffice it to say, the share of financial services is trending down, but because it's such a large sector, it's almost a third of the economy. It still remains the largest sector. So as we know, we had COVID, the global pandemic in 2020. So those sectors that relate to travel and tourism, hotel and restaurant, transport services, those declined significantly over those periods. Mm-hmm. Suffice it to say, they've rebounded significantly with hotel and restaurant recording the largest year-on-year growth for 2022. In terms of GDP, it was almost 60%, but then it's coming from a lower levels because it declined significantly over the period. So in terms of Cayman Islands GDP, in 2022, the current price GDP, that's the GDP valued in 2022 prices, was 5.5 billion CI dollars. In terms of the GDP per resident, and that's a variable that is used internationally to kind of gauge standard of living, or GDP per capita, we call it, GDP per person in layman terms, was about 70,000 CI dollars.
70,000?
Yeah.
I feel like that's jumped.
It's not
like
greatly. The distribution is another thing. Mm-hmm. So we have to look at the Gini coefficient.
No, I understand that, but that's as you said, that's a huge indicator of how also
standard
successful a country is.
And that would
that's one of the top.
Would put us in the top 10 globally.
Wow.
In terms of on GDP and per capita. In terms of total compensation, which is wages and salaries and other labor income, like so it would be the employer's payment for pension, obviously wages and salaries. That was $2.5 billion in 2022.
Okay.
Which is a nice chunk.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's significant, especially when you look at the employed labor force was around 55,000 in 2022.
Okay.
So the compensation per employee would be around 46,000 thereabouts. So those are some of the main highlights. Suffice it to say, the calculated GDP series, that's since 2007 when we set up the GDP unit as it is now. We've only had probably 3 years where there was a decline in GDP year on year. During the global financial crisis in 2008-9, we had a decline in 9 and 10. And then the global pandemic in 2020, we had a decline in 2020.
Right. Which, that's understandable.
That's understandable. So the economy overall, based on the GDP number, has been performing well over that entire period. There's always been year-on-year growth. The growth last year was 5%.
Right.
Yeah.
We only got about a minute left, and I definitely want to ask this question. Well, two questions, really.
Okay.
So, just going back to the kind of these key insights, do we see any emerging industries coming from the data that you've been able to collect over the past couple of years? Any emerging industries that could affect the labor market?
Yeah, what we notice is that health and human services has been gaining in share year on year.
Okay.
And particularly because it wasn't impacted as much by the global pandemic, so it kept growing over that time. Also, construction.
Okay.
has been gaining in share over time in terms of their contribution to the economy.
Did you, Ron, tell me over the break that you think?
No, I was thinking more. Okay, so I guess my mind went back to Bermuda, but also in terms of balance of payments, in 2025 we're going to have a new methodological manual that we need to follow, and they want to focus on globalization. They want to focus on something called global value chains.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a manufacturing thing. So Apple, when they produce a part here say they produce something in Cayman Islands and it passes along the chain to China, who then adds value to it, and it passes along. They install a microphone in, Netherlands. It adds value. They want to be able to track stuff like that. So global value chains, globalization, digitalization, fintech, which is starting to become very huge.
Very big thing.
Yeah, using technology to offer financial services and stuff like crypto assets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, virtual assets, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we've got to wrap this up, but I don't know if it's like a, thankfully Kathy's questions are over, or if you've really enjoyed this, thank you. But if you want our listeners to know, businesses that are listening, business leaders that are listening, anything about these annual business surveys, the last kind of thing that you want to get out, important message to them, do it now.
I guess what I could say is that the data published in the reports, again, is required by international investors and credit rating agencies looking to assess our competitiveness, big word right there, and not having the data set sort of negatively impacts on that. So sometimes businesses ask, well, what's in it for me? What am I getting back, etc.? And you have to kind of look at it from a global, a global perspective. There may not be any direct, benefit to you per se, but if the jurisdiction's rating or reputation collapses, it's going to impact your business and your bottom line as well. And so it highlights the importance of entities providing the information in a timely manner, in a complete manner, so we could produce this sort of quality statistics to keep the jurisdiction where it needs to be, which is at the top of the class, especially with respect to financial services.
All right, and the deadline to get these surveys in
June
is
14th, 2024.
All right, June 14th. So a couple weeks left for people.
A couple weeks left. Yeah.
And if they have any questions, get in touch with the ESO.
Yeah, just reach out to us at any the contact telephone numbers on the survey form. My telephone number is 244-4676, as relating to the National Account Survey, and for the BOP survey, 244-4600.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this morning and for going over the annual business surveys and a little bit about what the ESO does and the very important aspect of having these business surveys in the Cayman Islands and why we need it. So thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice.
And 100% Math. Invest in your child's academic success. Visit 100%math.com or call 547-9817.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, no Cayman, Cayman right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.